Well, first off, a hearty congratulations. If you were running a marathon of 26.2 miles, you're at about mile 20. So, the wall is usually mile 18, so you're past the wall. What they call it, the era of disillusion, right? You're past that. So you actually start to believe that you can do it, which is a good thing. So you should really be proud of yourselves. We are dwindling down from 14, we think, we said, down to 5. Now, I don't want you to rest too long on your laurels because it's 7 o'clock. We've got a whole new spring group on board. So there is no rest for the weary, as they say. But just to kind of give you context, we'll be narrowing down the 6 teams after the pitch round, which is what we're going to hear about tonight. And then on April 5, we'll kind of be announcing who the finalists are. Okay? And then we're kind of off having a good time. So anyway, you all should be really pleased with where you're at. I think your plans have all improved in demonstrable ways. Every one of your teams has a major advocate on the organizing committee who will go nameless, but there is no team that makes it past this round without somebody saying, I really believe in what these guys are doing. So you should feel confident that you've got one or more people who are really championing your cause, which is a good thing. The final thing I want to make clear to you is that our organizing committee's job is to get to 6 finalists, and then we take our hands off the wheel, and we no longer are responsible for who wins the competition. That is up to the judges and the audience that night. So we're kind of shepherding the process to a certain point, and then we kind of back off, and the judges and the audience at large kind of takes over. Okay, just so you kind of understand that about the process. I think your ideas are all starting to get focused and clarifying, and I think it's always good to be ready to give an answer to kind of your elevator pitch. So pick somebody from your team, anybody, and just do your 30 to 60 second, this is who we are, what we are, and I always pick on Justin, so I'm not going to start with him tonight. I'm going to start with the ladies in the back, ABC.
Okay. So,
and please speak up.
All right. So Art Together Classroom is a creative expression intervention program whose mission is to create a space that is safe for creative play, freedom, and exploration in visual art in areas that are in unique or difficult circumstances for children ages 3 to 21. Currently, we have 2 branches, which is exciting. We are at Hershey Children's Hospital and now NHS Carlisle Autism School, and we are hoping to open a 3rd at the Harrisburg Autism School. So,
Great job. Okay, Juntas.
We are aiming to employ artisans in Mexico that are already making mugs and keeping the Mexican identity of the mug. We're also going to be adding Christian Bible verses and inspirational sayings a little bit for the mug, and then bringing them back to the United States and selling them here as a ministry to people in our own community, and then using that money to employ artisans who aren't getting paid fair wages currently.
Grove.
So we're kind of feeding out the new idea of what tourism is, which is experience culture. And so we look to connect people to other people in different countries. And we do that by going through local church plants. And so our goal is to do that in 3 ways. We connect people who want to go on tours in specific areas such as Venice. And we connect them to people who have skill sets like surfing or historians or hikers. And we connect them to those people in the church. And so it's providing a vocational opportunity for the people in the church and financial stability to the church as well.
You know, what's interesting about entrepreneurial life is sometimes it's good to be compared to somebody and sometimes it's bad. When you compare yourself to somebody, they say, oh, it's already been done. That's the negative. The positive is it kind of paints a picture in somebody's mind, right? So to me, these guys are Airbnb, but native indigenous group that's going to do the touring, and with the missional and spiritual dimension to it, right? So it's kind of a specialization of a category in that sense. And that's not a bad way to think about what you guys are doing. The audience will relate to that, right? But you got to make sure the audience doesn't say, "Oh, Airbnb, your Airbnb, how could you compete with Airbnb?" Right? So messaging is kind of subtle. That's what tonight's about. Fathering.me.
Through a network of compassionate mentors and online resources, Father.me aims to encourage, equip, and empower the young men involved with unplanned pregnancies to become the best dads they can be.
Good. Grace Aeroponics.
So Grace Aquaponics.
Aquaponics.
Aquaponics. So aquaponics is aquaculture, raising fish like tilapia, and hydroponics, raising plants in water, so aquaponics. So using the two together, we grow organic produce in a very small footprint. So like say, for example, 48 square feet, you can grow 500 plants. So it's a very small footprint, uses about 90% less water than traditional farming with dirt. And the goal is to feed food insecure people fresh organic produce that can be grown locally in small spaces with very low resources. And so hopefully selling the produce to, say, restaurants, organic produce, will provide enough funds or revenue to actually give away up to 50% of the produce that's actually grown.
Awesome.
That's the goal.
Great, thank you. So, we have all sorts of interesting sectors represented, right? We've got the arts represented in kind of a emerging opportunity with folks with special needs, among others, right? We've got a share economy play in some sense in Grove, right? We've got a really important social issue in unwed pregnancies and the concerns for the men in that regard, which is awesome. We've got another artisan fair trade kind of opportunity here, and then we've got everything from an emerging aeroponics, aquaponics kind of growing, and the whole nutritional aspect of things. So I like the dimensionality of impact that we have represented, and I think it's kind of neat to be able to. I love that night when we have a lot of impact arenas represented, because somebody in the audience is taken by one of those ideas. If it were 5 mobile app companies, it's like, not really, but there's kind of something for everybody, and I think the diversity of kind of our collective ideas is what's kind of exciting. Just to kind of tell you where we are, right? We are here tonight, right? You're going to submit your video pitches by the 23rd of February. We are right before spring break on the 10th, going to kind of make decisions about whether you continue or not. If you continue, you're going to do one more resubmit on your plan, final revisions based on the feedback you just got, and your video pitches as well by the 31st. Then we need to merge. We've got to take the spring on board and you guys and make a final decision by 5 April. Okay, so that's kind of your path you're down, and we will announce by 5 April who the finalists are. Okay, so that's kind of the track we're down. I won't overwhelm you with what this looks like, because we'll wait until the night of the 6th, and you'll see what that looks like. Okay. So, the art of the pitch of a business is really important. In fact, it's so important that when you look at the fact that 20% of the judges vote and 20% of the audience, so 40 of the 100% of the vote for the who wins comes from your pitch, right? So you can actually come out of round 3 and your plan be kind of graded at a C level against other A-level plans, and you can win the competition by your pitch, right? And we modeled it that way because the investor, believe it or not, is as persuaded, if not more persuaded by your act of persuasion in person than they are any plan document. Right? If I were to take you to venture capital investors or private equity investors, very rarely do they make investment decisions because the 20-page or 10-page plan they read. They make investments because of the people they meet. Right? So your ability to tell a compelling story is really important. Right? So for some of you, it's like, I was dreading this part of the competition. Right? For some of you, it's kind of where you're more theatrical, you're comfortable in front of a camera, it's kind of, it's comfortable for you. So you might actually want to take inventory of your team and your skills to figure out who are the right people to represent us during the pitch. Right? And be careful, too many people coming up and down in the span of the 6 minutes you have to deliver can actually be counterproductive. There's too much movement on stage, the audience gets distracted and you lose the message if you're not careful. Okay? So I want you to really kind of think about that. We are tonight, I'm going to go through some ideas, but the best thing I thought to do was give you the 2 best pitches live from the IVC last year. Okay, we are going to look at what I thought were the 2 best pitches. We are going to look at Courtney Allen's Counting Beyond Borders, and then we are going to look at Omega Swap. A team that I have to tell you, I can tell you privately now, came out of the lower tier of the business plan evaluation and won, I think, 3rd place that night. And I think their pitch had a lot to do with it. Okay? So, Jake, I actually think it'd be better to go look at those 2 pitches, and then we'll come back and look at content. All right? I just want you to make some observations, and I want you to kind of dialogue with me about what did you like about the pitch? Okay, what did you like about the pitch? So they're each about 6 minutes. We're not going to do the Q&A. I just want you to listen to the pitch. I don't know how many people there. Quite a few people that night.
My name is Courtney Allen. I'm a senior accounting major and cross-cultural ministries minor, and I'm starting an organization called Accounting Beyond Borders. Accounting Beyond Borders will serve the accounting and business needs of missionaries around the world, allowing both the missionaries and their ministries to flourish and grow. 3 years ago, I went on a Roma sports ministry trip to Panama and was introduced to Rio Missions run by Dan and Jess Kine. In a conversation one night, I learned that one of the biggest needs of their organization was someone to do the accounting and business needs necessary to run their organization. They had to devote a lot of time to accounting rather than pouring into the heart of their ministry, which is building up communities and spreading the love of Christ in Panama. Accounting for these ministries will be a continuation of what I've already been doing in Panama by offering services in income and expense tracking, as well as an array of other services. Accounting for these missionaries is so much more than just what most people would think about accounting. Jess Cotton from Rio Missions can speak to this burden from firsthand experience.
I have administrative skills, but no formal accounting training. And before I was taught how to do this, we were pretty much a mess. I did the best I could to keep things straight, but everything was on paper for a while. This was incredibly stressful for me. I carried a heavy burden on my shoulders all the time, knowing that it should be better, but not having any idea how to do it, which poured into our family life and, was difficult on our children and my husband. And I think, in a lot of ways slowed down the things with the ministry because things weren't, there were no systems set in place. It was just very disorganized and stressful. When Courtney arrived, I can't even tell you how it changed things for me. First of all, it just took a load of bricks off of my back and off of our family. There were systems in place. Every ministry needs somebody like this to come in and help get us focused, help get our books in order, and honestly, we want to be accountable to the Lord. We want to have things in order, and to have somebody with that expertise is invaluable for me.
So once I realized this need, I couldn't turn away. I returned to Panama and have been serving for Rio Missions for the last 3 years. Accounting Beyond Borders will be a continuation of the work I've already been doing in Panama by offering services in income and expense tracking, creating and maintaining a working budget, tax and consulting services, donor relations, and other organization-specific needs. Basically, the idea of Accounting Beyond Borders is to get behind missionaries and their organizations, do the accounting and business needs necessary for them to grow and be sustainable. We also add value by creating accurate and transparent reports that make donors more likely to invest in our ministries. This venture will begin in Panama, which is home to many of Central America's over 550 missionaries. Without even marketing my services, I already have a backlog of interest from organizations in Panama, and after launching my website just 3 days ago, I've already received donations and interest from organizations around the world. This summer, I'll be returning to Panama to continue working for Rio Missions, as well as beginning to work for my next organization called Heart's Cry Children's Ministry, which is also located in Panama. Heart's Cry Children's Ministry has been instrumental in changing the adoption laws in Panama, caring for orphans, and is in the process of building the first special needs orphanage in Panama. Although this venture will begin in Panama, what's awesome about Accounting Beyond Borders is the idea and model can be duplicated around the world, serving missionaries globally. As a nonprofit, Accounting Beyond Borders will receive revenue from 2 sources. The first source will come from donations and grants from traditional fundraising, and the second will come from fees charged to clients based on their organization-specific needs and heavily discounted from the market rate. We also hope to provide these services free of charge for ministries that aren't able to afford our services. This will all be made possible by implementing Accounting Beyond Borders in 3 phases. In phase 1, I will personally be studying for the CPA exam and working for an accounting firm to gain my CPA license and knowledge in the field. This is absolutely essential to me being able to have the knowledge and credibility necessary to develop Accounting Beyond Borders long term. During this time, I'll also be developing Accounting Beyond Borders and working for Rio Missions and Heart's Cry Ministry. As Accounting Beyond Borders grows in phases 2 and 3, I plan to add a part-time CPA program, an internship program, and on-staff CPAs. I've already used the $250 from round 3 to create a website, accountingbeyondborders.org, and info cards to market my services. I've also invested in remote login software, which is essential to helping my missionaries year-round. This software allows me to access my missionaries' computers and financial records so that I can provide services and be available for support and questions throughout the year, even when I'm not physically in Panama. The $5,000 prize money would go a long way for my organization that has minimal costs. I would initially use it for the fees to incorporate as an official 501c3 nonprofit, as well as file for tax-exempt status so I can receive tax-deductible donations. I would also invest it in travel costs, as well as QuickBooks accounting software for my current ministries and my future ministries. Accounting for these organizations is so much more than just creating a budget and tracking donations. It means bringing clean water to a child that hasn't had anything to drink for days. Because with my accounting services, ministries have the time, growth in ministry, and donations to do so. Habakkuk 1:5 reads, "Look at the nations and watch, and be utterly amazed. For I'm going to do something in your days that you would not believe even if you were told." I firmly believe this, and I also believe that the Lord has placed this call to do accounting for missionaries on my heart for a purpose. I'm so thankful for all the Lord has done to create this organization, and I look forward to following His leading throughout the entire life of Accounting Beyond Borders. Empowering missionaries changes the world, and that's what I intend to do with Accounting Beyond Borders. Thank you.
Okay, I thought she nailed it. I think she just, you don't realize how hard that is to do. She didn't stutter, she didn't hesitate, she was sort of on point for 6 minutes. What did you guys think, Justin?
Well, my first thing is going to be a question. If you could hover over the end, I'm curious how long that actually was.
I think she was
Oh, no, sorry.
just a second over 6.
Yes.
Okay. We're pretty vigilant about that in the program, which is run out of bounds. So there's a clock when you get there, the finals. We're I don't know when we start doing timed intervals, and we'll gong you if we have to. So.
But to answer the question, I was really impressed. I was there that night. Really impressed with the way that she was able to move coherently from one I didn't feel like I was jumping conceptually and flowed, but it was distinct when she started talking about the impact, what she's going to do, where she's going to get finances, and then finally the emotional pull with the child getting a child clean water, which isn't an easy connection to make until she says it.
Agreed. Other comments, just quick thoughts. What else stood out to you guys?
It's really a great testimonial from somebody who felt like their mission was really impacted by what she did.
Exactly. I'm going to talk about the before and after scenario. Help your audience visualize what's true before your service is available and what's true after. What's the change? Perfect. Her photos and visuals were phenomenal. Those kids in the background made it clear to you that by doing what she was doing, those missionaries were going to be more about the lives of the communities they were working in, right? So her visuals just nailed it too, you know? So don't waste your visuals, right? Even that background photo spoke volumes to the audience and the judges about what she was about. Notice she didn't have, she didn't end it with a bunch of financial documents and tax returns up there, right? Which you could think intuitively might have made sense. But no, she focused on what's the real benefit. The real benefit is she's providing a service to free those missionaries up to deliver on their commitment to the community, right? Okay, you with it? Good one. All right. Second one, Omega Swap, something completely different, and I wanted you to just see a different way to think about how you say it, how you communicate your message.
Hello, my name is Ryan Fitzgerald,
And I'm Alec Marshall.
and we are Omega Swap, a website that connects college students for buying, selling, and trading items and services with other students on their campus. We saw a problem.
Today, we are so blessed and spoiled with the ability to buy whatever we want off the numerous e-commerce sites that litter the internet. Online buying is second nature for us. But in our buying habits, what we so often overlook is that when you buy that $200 textbook from Amazon, you aren't just getting a book. You're getting the box it comes in, and the plastic wrap it rests in, and the tape it's sealed in. That box, that plastic wrap, that tape, it's unnecessary, and it's consumer waste. With that, we saw another problem.
College students throwing away valuable items at the end of the year, like stereos, TVs, and furniture. The entrepreneur in me cringes hearing about students throwing away perfectly good items, while at the same time complain about their lack of money and high tuition. It all started about a year and a half ago with a class project thinking about a sustainable initiative on campus. That week, my friends and I were recalling a time where, at the end of freshman year, they went dumpster diving and found a perfectly good TV. Now, this happens on campuses all across the nation, where students throw away valuable items like textbooks, couches, and more, purely out of convenience. Now, we were talking about excessive consumer waste in class, but this was a textbook example of unnecessary waste. At the same time, I was trying to buy a couch for my room, but I really didn't know anyone outside my floor, and I wasn't about to go shopping at the dumpster anytime soon. It's now junior year, I still don't have that couch, and students still use the dumpster as a popular last resort when they can't find buyers for their stuff.
Listen, we've all experienced this moment when we're trying to order our textbooks for the upcoming semester, and we can't tell which feeling is worse. The anxiety we get on whether or not our books are going to even make it on time or to the right location, or the newfound emptiness in our wallets. But then, not to make matters worse, but we feel shortchanged by the money we get back for those expensive textbooks, or yet even worse, we can't even find anybody to buy our books back. And we're left with $100 paperweights collecting dust on our bookshelves. We're all in the same boat. We're trying to save money and trying to get rid of our old stuff, but making a positive impact at the same time.
And this is where OmegaSwap.com comes in. A one-stop student market by and for the people around you. This changes the game for textbooks, furniture, room decorations, clothes, and more. Now, OmegaSwap is building upon the shared economy trend of companies like Uber and Airbnb, which we have seen take off and thrive over just the past few years, especially among millennials. Now, college campuses are practically unique, self-sustaining markets in and of themselves, and we know this trend can be utilized for college students through OmegaSwap.
Our biggest competition is Amazon and campus bookstores, as well as other sites like Wallapop, LetGo, and Craigslist, which are similar in nature. However, OmegaSwap is different in 4 key ways. First, access. The people who are going to be on the site, the people that are going to be using the site, are college students and college students only. Second, location. The ease of walking across your campus to get that book or to get that good, instead of waiting 5 to 8 business days or meeting a stranger in a random location. Third, the relevance. The things that are on this site are specific to college students because we believe college students have what other college students need. And fourth, safety. Because we already trust our campuses, that's why we're here. So by being campus specific, we're partnering with that established trust. Our financial model has 3 revenue streams built into it. The primary and secondary are basic subscriptions. A 12-month subscription for just $9.99 and a 6-month subscription for $5.99. The third option is a simple pay per post. We also offer a 30-day free trial for all students, so that way they can test the practicality and the value that OmegaSwap can have for them.
Now, instead of taking a commission on transactions like many e-commerce sites, OmegaSwap is a unique case because our buyers and sellers are only a short walk away from each other and will most likely just use cash for their transactions. Because OmegaSwap provides a unique online platform for students to advertise the stuff that they want to get rid of to the people around them. Because In addition, we believe that most students will be able to make that subscription payment back in their first sale.
Some of the best validation that we've received to this point is that we launched the website and made it live just 3 weeks ago, and already we have dozens of users making dozens of transactions with thousands of views. And this is a quick snapshot of our website.
We also conducted a survey from students to validate our idea, execution, and applicability to them. I am also excited to announce that we are accepted to become members of 1% for the Planet, in which we would donate 1% of our annual revenue to approved nonprofits that are driving positive environmental change in our communities and around the globe. We are excited about this partnership because we want to establish this environmental impact for ourselves as well as our customers.
Our team consists of Ryan, myself, Kenny Schofield, and Austin Weaver, who joined us off stage. Since OmegaSwap is so young in its life, we're looking to further develop the website as well as build an app to maximize user experience. We're also looking to expand to other colleges in the central Pennsylvania area over the next 6 months.
With the $250 we received to making it to this point, we officially opened up our website, bought business cards and stickers, as well as these awesome t-shirts we are wearing tonight. In conclusion, OmegaSwap strives to cultivate a conscious consumer community at campuses like Messiah, in Pennsylvania, and across the nation. By students,
For students.
OmegaSwap. Thank you.
Okay, quite different, right? Give me some highlights you sort of took away from that.
They used humor, which I think connected them to the audience. I really loved the first presentation, but I wouldn't typically use humor in a presentation like that, but they used it really well, so I was really surprised.
I agree. It's risky,
It's
right?
risky, yeah.
But
If you can do it.
it connected them with their audience, I think, right? Their humor, I think for a lot of students, you could probably relate to their humor, right? So, I've been there. So, okay, what else? Andrew?
They had really good use of just descriptive words, like painting pictures in your mind. I mean, like, better the internet with, like, e-commerce sites, and, like, they had multiple cases of that where it's like you can really get a good idea of, like, just images of, it helps build the power of what they're talking about before they even show images of what they're talking about.
I think that's I think their marketing message was really good. I think they chose their words really carefully, and I think they connoted kind of what the core idea was about. I love the validation that they did. They talked about number of users, transactions, like that whole idea of validation. It's not only important for the judges, it's equally important for the audience. I think they're thinking is this real? Could this be real? And I think the more you offer up, been there, done that, the better off you are. Okay, Curtis?
Yeah, I think to add on to that, I think if we look at Courtney, in addition, she was able to say, I've been there, I've been doing this,
Yeah.
this is what I'm continuing to do,
Third year.
this is what I've invested in, $250. Even with Sapwood, who was the second place team, they said we have 2,100 pre-orders. They're able to say we've done it. Our validation is like here, now, rather than a concept and idea.
Critical, great point. Justin?
I think they really capitalized on the shared experience they had with most of the audience. So
Yeah.
the panelists and judges were mostly in age, probably we would consider well removed from the experience of college. And when they went to college, it was probably very different than it is now, as well as their relationships with things.
But they actually impacted the judges, I will tell you. The judges' scores were reflective of that. So I agree with you.
And I thought that you could audibly, and when I was there, visibly hear the audience connect with them, or see the audience connect with them. And the judges, I think, saw their look right in the crowd, they saw it too.
Right.
I have a question. Both of them were really distinct and intentional, it seemed, about expressing what they did with the 250 and what they plan to do with the 5.5.
I think that's
Is that by design from the?
I think that's a really important part of you should at some point say, in your case, it's if we were to get to $250 to go to round 3, this is what we would do, right? And then if you make it to round the finals, then the question is, if we were to win the $5,000, what would that be? Okay? Right? Make sense? Okay? So, 6 minutes isn't a lot, but you can pack a lot of information in that. In neither presentation did I feel overwhelmed. It was on point, I knew what they were doing, it was organized, I kind of left with a sense of what they were. Okay? You notice the visuals, right, and the use of visuals in the background and such, right? All kind of helping tell your story. So you can use slides, video clips, whatever you kind of want to do. That's your call. You just got to make sure they're, for what you're going to upload for us on the website, it's an MP4 file or a link to a YouTube clip that you're going to deliver. You're not actually going to present live to us. You're going to videotape your 6 minutes so we can view it as a group of judges. Okay? Use any props you want to use. Right? If you want to bring something on stage, we can mirror. One of the teams brought their device on stage to demo. You can do that. So if you want to have props of any kind, again, you got to be efficient up and down, but you can do it. And your mentors, through Curtis, you just got to let us know if you're looking for some mentor guidance on your pitch. We can kind of help resource you do that. Okay?
Sooner the better on that, because we don't have a lot of time between now and when you have to submit that.
Yeah.
And so if you want one, you should let us know like tonight or tomorrow, so that we can give them fair time to schedule something.
Right. Okay, I'm now going to just give you some of the core principles that I think led to the presentations you saw. Right. The first one is telling a real before-after story is so much more powerful than throwing a bunch of statistics at people. So for some of you, any way you can demonstrate the purchase of a mug, the impact on the artisan, the harvest of out of your growing studio and feeding those that you want to feed from it, interacting with a young dad that you kind of mentored in a video, maybe an interview with him would be awesome. Somehow, some way, somebody going on a Rove experience, right? That points back to you guys. Maybe that's your spring break challenge, right? You guys are already doing it at ABC, so it's a matter of how do you get the right message of before your service and after your service, what testimonial might be there, okay? So I think telling your story is so much more powerful by having the stakeholders you're trying to benefit telling, right? There's no replacement for that. So you can't do justice to telling your own story. Rather have one of your stakeholders and beneficiaries tell the story. Right? And that might take some coaching, by the way, on your part of prompting them of how to tell their story. right? Some are gonna be maybe uncomfortable with that, you're gonna have to get their permission, and it's gonna take some time, but I think that they're really important. Don't get bogged down in details. Stay at a high level of, this is the problem we saw, right? And here's kind of a high level sketch of what we're doing, right? We didn't go in a deep dive on the website, right, for Omega Swap. That would have been a total distraction, right? We weren't studying in detail Courtney's product offer. She had a few bullet items up there, but it's more like broad brush. People don't want to study details. They want to look at a high level of what's there. They want to look with a concept, okay? Make your offer and the potential impact as clear as possible, right? These testimonials are a great way of helping your story be told, right? And so think about kind of that as a way to do it. Now, that night you'll be all amped up anyway, and even for the video, I think you'll be all excited. So showing passion and commitment, no one should have a problem doing that, right? But your energy is infectious, right? And your excitement for your idea really does impact how people kind of think about your idea. So believe it or not, your just presentation style does impact how people perceive, right? Make sure you look at the critical elements, and I've just listed them here, how your pitch is going to be judged. Right? We've got that listed here. I think one thing I would recommend, and I heard from 2 different judges that they'd like to see our students appropriately dressed in business attire if that is appropriate for their business. So I'm going to let you guys be the judge on how you choose to dress. That didn't affect me a little bit, but 2 of the judges I think would have preferred that certain presenters had been more dressed in a business-like setting given what they were proposing to do. So, okay, giving feedback from judges. Okay, so I think these are the few things you want to talk about, right? Number 1, who are you guys? What's your background? Why your passion? How does it connect to your idea in about 20 seconds? You don't have a lot of time, but you want to kind of briefly explain who you are, and then tell your story. What is the opportunity that we see, and why do we believe our approach is going to really capitalize on that, both the business opportunity and the impact opportunity? All things you're trying to address. And then, ultimately, why is this going to be successful? Right? Why do we believe, from a validation point of view, you're likely to continue down the path of progression that you've been on? It's a really important question for the judges and for the audience. You should do some summary of your 3-year view of financials. A little bit about your revenue, where it comes from, and what your financials might look like. I think that's important. And, you know, I don't want to prescribe this, but if it's appropriate, think about how you might weave your spiritual formation into your pitch. Notice that Courtney did that very explicitly. Omega Swap, I think, had an opportunity to talk about environmental stewardship and kind of taking care of God's creation. They chose not to. I'm not saying that's their decision. Like, one thing I've learned is you guys are responsible for how you want to present yourself, right? I just ask you honor the Lord in what you say. That's my only request. So, you know, if you want to use scripture, great. I don't want anyone up there, you know, that would be a bad testimony for Messiah College or the Lord. But I'm not saying, therefore, everybody's got to quote scripture, right? That's your call. How you want to use that time is your decision. I just want to make sure you honor who we are as an institution in the process. We've never had a problem with that. And then, in this case, the real question is if you were to win the $5,000, meaning if you were to go to around the finale, right? We're not there yet, so maybe we should fill that in with, if you were to win the $250, what would you do with it? Because the moment we decide you're going to the finals, you're going to get a check for $250, you use it however you see fit. Curtis?
Yeah, I would say maybe do both. If
Yeah.
you can do both in like a way that's
That's a good thought.
that's
Maybe do both. The $250 would do X, if we won the whole competition with 5,000, we do Y. Okay, that's great.
And one more thing, I think what's important to note about the financials is that the reason that Courtney and Ryan, they were able to stay high level and overview is because they didn't present any information that was a glaring question. It didn't arise, no one was, like, that didn't sit well, or I don't really understand that.
Yeah.
They were very concise and clear on what they were saying in their financials, which allowed them to kind of breeze over it. And kind of
You don't want to get bogged down on the financials. You want to figure out a real summary way to talk about what they are, right? Our average revenue per child seen is, X dollars. We think we can see Y in a given month, and on that basis, our profits are projected at the end of year 1 to be, A, and year 2 B, and year 3 C, and you're done. Okay, that's probably kind of how you want to think about it. Okay, the judging criteria I kind of leave up there for you guys to look at. It's on the website and all. So quality of the materials, the compelling case made for the venture, practical real-world relevance to venture and impact, quality of the delivery, how you handle Q&A, and so on. Time management's a big deal. Please don't submit, even for this round, a 10-minute clip. You will probably automatically be eliminated at that point. So stay under the 6-minute mark. Okay? Hard to do, actually, but please do it. So I'm not going to go through all these tonight. This is all available to you guys if you want to look at them. We did the IBC finale. The two I thought were really important for you to see. The whole, if you click there, you'll see the entire 2-hour clip if you want to look at those for yourself. There's a really interesting guy who talks at a breakneck speed and does this pitch for a cup company advertising that won a national competition. And again, I don't want to overwhelm you with that, but there for your perusal. Over here, I've put interesting uses of video to explain business and impact. So if you want to, these are everything from a sensor company monitoring wells in rural Africa, to a tea tree company, to a nonprofit generating money from working with notable celebrities, right? And if you're looking for how do you visualize in about a minute to a minute and a half, there are examples of how you might choose to do that, okay? And I'll let you guys kind of think about how you might want to do that. So for me, these are the things I tend to do. When I hear a pitch, I say, okay, is the business and impact opportunity real? Do I think there's serious business opportunity and impact? One, now that you've convinced me there's a market opportunity, how compelling is the offer, the thing you've come up with to address it? And will it likely lead to a sustainable business model and in turn impact, right? I sort of want to know you're going to be around 5 years from now, not if you're going to make it the next 6 months. So I'm interested in profitability or significant donors and earned income if you're going to be organized as a nonprofit, because they're your pathway to sustainability, right? And how are you thinking about impact? Is it fundable, right? I got to tell you, if the IBC judges, if you're a top 3 winner that night, there's a pretty good chance there's other people that would support it beyond just our little committee. So I think, is it fundable? And every year we hold ourselves accountable that the 3 teams that won the previous year are going to give a bit of an update. And so not only are you getting the money, but are you launching or are you doing something positive with it, right? And we've got an okay track record, not a great track record here. Curtis and Jake, that reminds me, we got to start thinking about doing that for the 3 teams. You're already on it. That's great, Curtis. Curtis is my bailout guy. All right. So it's profitable, impactful, sustainable, and therefore viable. Right? Those things lead to viability. And that's kind of ultimately what we're trying to be driven by. So, to summarize, you have till midnight, February 23rd. Your submit. You're submitting at the same website, not to be confused, by the way. The spring teams are submitting the spring 2017. Don't worry about that. you're staying on the fall track. Okay, we're managing these as 2 separate competitions until we do immersion in April. Okay, and you can upload either a YouTube video clip or use MP3 format or MP4 format. Excuse me. I think most of the teams last year, Curtis and Jake, am I right? Most teams submitted at this stage YouTube clips last year.
Yeah, I think they did, and feel free to do that. As you saw though in the finale video, Courtney's, that was a part of her video that she submitted, her initial 6 minute. So she took that, she did it when she did it the first time, she did her video really well, and then so she took part of her 6 minute pitch and put it in her.
She spliced it and
she
put it in.
spliced it and put part of her video in the finale. So I think if you're interested in thinking ahead in that way, it might be worthwhile to put a little bit more effort into your video, invest in it maybe a little bit more time, and then be able to potentially use it in your pitch, trusting that you make it that far. I mean, I think that's worthwhile.
If you need equipment of any kind, let impactvirtualchallenge@gmail.com know. Media Services in general has been very supportive of our students using equipment for that purpose.
Yeah.
We kind of need to know ahead of time.
Yeah.
Okay. Justin.
Well, you might answer my question before I ask.
Okay. So basically, all we're looking to do that night, once you submit our evaluation, we're going to get in a room a day or a few days later, and we're going to just run through those videos and make a determination and provide some feedback. So that's all you're going to, whatever's on that video is going to be the totality of what we're going to see, right? So it's as if you're live on stage in Palmer Hall April 28th, and you're simply providing us a video of what you think that experience is going to be for your audience. Everybody with me? Okay.
So it's almost like a dress rehearsal.
It is as close as dress rehearsal as you're going to get. Yeah. And the better the quality of images and video and you know, being choreographed, the better off you are. Right? We didn't used to do it this way. We used to just have students come and kind of lollygag before us, and that was a disaster because the bar wasn't high enough. They weren't really kind of getting ready for dress rehearsal. It was almost like, you know, they were fumbling over a draft, and that didn't do justice to the process. And furthermore, now we got to make decisions on the basis of stuff that, even though we know you're going to dramatically improve it, we don't really know how you're going to improve it. So the closer this is to what you think your April 28th presentation is going to be, the better off you are in service to yourself and in the competition. Justin.
So you're looking for like a live pitch that is filmed, not like a produced info video, or.
So it's a little bit of both.
Okay.
Notice in Courtney's, she had she went to the video and said, let me tell you what a beneficiary of our services had to say. Right? She used that, but her entire pitch, that was embedded in her pitch. Right. We're looking for you to deliver the entire end-to-end experience. So if you're gonna interview a young man that you've worked with as a before-after example, right? You should embed that as part of your overall presentation. And it's as if it's the 6 minutes that the April 28th is going to be as an experience for the audience. Right? That's really what you're striving for. So use video and visuals however you see fit. Okay?
I think you have an opportunity to kind of use video in a way that you don't really when you're on stage, right? So when you're on stage, you're kind of presenting as is. Video, you can make it a little bit more intimate, do some kind of close-up interviews or some things like that where you can kind of combine the stories. Yeah. And this is really a benefit to you guys because the more material you get kind of hammered out this early on, the better because all of your, whatever material you have, whether it be PowerPoint, video, all that stuff has to be in at a certain date, like April 22nd. Barring you move on to the finale. So the more work that gets done early on in this part of the process, the better for you guys. That's helpful.
Does it make sense what we're asking you guys to do? Pretty clear? Yeah. You might want to go back to the video a couple times in those two places. All of them were, think everybody did a good job that night. But if you're kind of wondering what should it look like, I think the best way to get a feel for this is by seeing what other people have done, right? And I pointed out two because I thought they particularly emphasized the things that I thought were really important to have in your pitch, and they were both two award winners. Sapwood, I tell you the Sapwood presentation, for those of you who weren't there that night, I thought they did a good job as well. And they had one other element of the audience actually experienced their product, an air freshener, that night. They were passing them around, I think, down the aisles as they were presenting that night, as I recall. So that was real audience participation in what they had to offer. Okay? Make sense? All right, I don't want to keep you guys any longer than I have to, so,
You guys want to hang on one more?
yeah, please.
You don't necessarily need to stay, but we're doing some marketing stuff for IBC, and so Adam is going to stick around for a little bit. If we could get just like a picture of your team, and
Yeah.
maybe a contact person information. If Adam can get that from you before you leave, that would be awesome. But
Yeah.
feel free to.
I do want to especially thank Jake and Curtis for all the work they do for the Veterans Challenge. I would be remiss to not say these guys are awesome. We wouldn't have this event without them, so I really appreciate your work. Thank you. Feel free to email us at the email if you have any questions, even if you have a clip and you say, could you take a look at this? Are we in the right direction? Just shoot it off to us. That's okay. We're here to help and support you guys any way we can.
Most definitely.
Okay? Thanks, everybody.
Thanks, guys.
Good night.